Welcome to the NBA 5 on 5. It is our pleasure to have you with us, and you will probably notice we have a new concept of doing the daily game reports and daily stat leaders. And we will start with this first episode in this format after the 28th game day on Monday, November 15th. The first day of week 5, we had 11 games. On the left side, you will see the date of the game. Then you will see game time in Eastern time, then game time in Central European time, which is for most Europe the actual time. And then you will see game time local, where the game is played. Then you will have high points, high rebounds, and high assists for the road team. Then the rest days are saying about how long or when was their last game before this one and their schedule a bit. Then we have a season score, away score. Then we have for the road team away score, for the home team then we will have a home score additionally. Then we have first, second, third, and fourth quarter. If there are overtimes, we'll have overtimes. Then the first team is away team, the second one is a home team, then repeating all the information as well. And then at the end, we will have the arena where the game was played, the attendance, the percentage of the capacity, and the full capacity. We think that attendance is very important as it gives ambience, it gives a special adrenaline push for players, and it's always joy to play in full arenas. Where, as if we look at Little Caesars Arena, a home of Detroit Pistons, they're not playing that well, and it's half full or half empty, so that must not be a pleasure. Anyway, let's start first with games. We had, or should we start with the daily stats leaders? Let's start with the daily stat leaders. So the most points on 28th game day were scored by DeMar DeRozan from Chicago, 38 points. Second was Nikola Jokic from Denver, 35. As Karl Anthony Towns from Minnesota as well, second place, 35 points. At the fourth place, we have Brandon Ingram from New Orleans Pelicans with 31 points. And at the fifth, Cole Anthony from Orlando with 29 points. In rebounds, we have Nikola Jokic and Clint Capella, leaders of the day with 16 rebounds. At the third place, we have Domantas Sabonis from Indiana and Isaiah Stewart from Detroit with 15 rebounds. And at the fifth, Yusuf Nurkic from Portland with 14 rebounds. The assist of the day, leader, three players with 11 assists: Cole Anthony from Orlando, Luka Doncic from Dallas, and Kyle Lowry from Miami. At fourth, we have Tyrese Halliburton from Sacramento with 10 assists. And at the fifth, we have Space Dinwiddie from Washington with 9. Most fantasy points go for this, on this day to Nikola Jokic from Denver, 66.2. The second place in fantasy NBA fantasy points is Clint Capella from Atlanta with 57.7. At the third, Luka Doncic from Dallas with 54.1. Fourth, Kristaps Porzingis from Dallas, 53.7. And fifth, DeMar DeRozan from Chicago, 53.6. Most blocks on the game day were made by Darius Bazley from OKC, 5. And then we have a shared second place with 4 players made 3 blocks. Goga Bitadze from Indiana, Brandon Clark from Memphis, Robert Covington from Portland, and Dwayne Dedmon from Miami. Steals, we have shared first place. Five players had 3 steals. OG Anunoby from Toronto, Mo Bamba from Orlando, Clint Capella from Atlanta, De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento, and Anthony Melton from Memphis. The turnovers, Karl Anthony Towns from Minnesota made 7 turnovers. At the second place, we have three players with 6 turnovers: Cole Anthony from Orlando, Anthony Edwards from Minnesota, and Tyler Hero from Miami. And at the fifth, Tyrese Halliburton from Sacramento. The most 3 points made on the day were by Alonzo Ball from Chicago, 7 threes. Then we have four players sharing the second place with 6 threes. OG Anunoby from Toronto, Buddy Hield from Sacramento, Zach LaVine from Chicago, and CJ McCollum from Portland. And the most free throws made on the day were by Devin Booker from Phoenix, 13, John Collins, Atlanta, 11, Brandon Ingram, New Orleans Pelicans, 11 as well, Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota, 10, and Russell Westbrook from Lakers, 9. So now let's take a look at the first game. Boston Celtics playing at Cleveland Cavaliers in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse at 88% occupancy in front of the 17,186 spectators. The Boston Celtics won 98-92, and by quarters, as you can see, we have played with colors here, so you can get a quick look at the red points are losing quarters and the green ones are winning. So Boston lost the first quarter and they had 19 points. Then they won the second quarter, even they scored only 18 points. Then won the third quarter with 28 points and won the fourth quarter with 33 points, where the Cleveland had in first quarter 22 points, second quarter 17 points, third quarter 25, and fourth quarter 28. Boston Celtics are now at a season score of 7 wins and 7 losses, and they have a score on away games of 5 wins and 4 losses. The Cleveland has a season score of 9 wins and 6 losses, and at home they are 4 wins and 3 losses. Now, the most points for Boston had Tatum, 23, the most rebounds Hofford, 9, and assists Tatum, 5. And for Cleveland, the Rubio was the best scorer with 28 points, Valentine, most rebounds, 9, and Osman, 5 assists. And we want to say that for both teams, this was a third game in 4 days. Now let's go to the next game, Sacramento Kings at Detroit Pistons in front of 10,092 spectators, which makes 50% occupancy of Little Caesars Arena. The Sacramento Kings won 129-107, and the win was decided in first 2 quarters, where Sacramento won 31-12, 37-32. Then the Sacramento lost the third quarter 24-26, and they played a tie at the fourth 37-37. The Sacramento Kings had a 2-day break before this game, and for Detroit Pistons, this was the third game in 4 days. The Sacramento Kings are now with a season score of 6 wins and 8 losses, and away they're 4 wins and 4 losses on away games. And the Detroit Pistons are now 3 wins and 10 losses, and at home they have 1 win and 5 losses. For the Sacramento Kings, Buddy Hield scored most points, 22. Metu had most rebounds, 10, and Halliburton had most assists, 10. And for Detroit, the Bay scored most points, 28. Stewart had most rebounds, 15, and Cunningham had most assists, 8. Now let's go to the next game, which is New Orleans Pelicans at Washington Wizards in front of 13,914 spectators, which is 68% for Capital One Arena. So the visitors were not inspired to come and watch Washington Wizards playing so bad team in the moment, the New Orleans Pelicans. Anyway, for New Orleans Pelicans, this was third game in 4 days, and for Washington Wizards had 1 day break before this game. The New Orleans Pelicans lost 100 to 105, and as we can see, the game was decided in 2 last quarters. By quarters, tie in first, 25 to 25. Pelicans won the second, 33 to 16, a huge win, but then they managed to lose all that lead. The third quarter, 22 to 32, and the fourth quarter, 20 to 32. The New Orleans Pelicans are now season score 2 wins, 13 losses, and away games 1 win, 7 losses. And the Washington Wizards are with the season scores 10 wins and 3 losses, and at home they have 6 wins and 1 loss. Now, for New Orleans Pelicans, Ingram was leading scorer with 31 points. Hart had most rebounds, 12, and Hart had also most assists, 5 for the Pelicans. And for the Wizards, it was Dinwiddie with 27 points, Avdia with 10 rebounds, and Dinwiddie again with 9 assists. Now let's go to the next game, Orlando Magic at Atlanta Hawks. For Orlando, they had a 1 day break before this game, and for Atlanta Hawks, this was a third game in 4 days with back-to-back. That means that they played yesterday as well. The Atlanta managed to win 129 to 111 in State Farm Arena in front of 13,061 spectators, which is 77% occupancy. For the Atlanta won last 3 quarters, and the first quarter was won by Orlando 31 to 30, the second quarter 25 to 30, 28 to 33, and 27 to 38. The Orlando Magic are now at season score of 3 wins and 11 losses. In a way, on the road, there are 2 wins and 5 losses, and the Atlanta Hawks are now with a season score of 6 wins and 9 losses, and at home they have a great score with 5 wins and 1 loss. Now the Orlando Magic, we have Anthony with 29 points, Carter Jr. with 9 rebounds, Anthony with 11 assists, and for the Atlanta we have Trae Young with 23 points, Capella with 13 rebounds, and again Trae Young with 6 assists. Or 8. I think it's 6. So now let's go to the next game, which is Indiana Pacers at New York Knicks in front of the 16,792 spectators in Madison Square Garden, which is 85% occupancy. The New York won 92 to 84 at home, and by quarters, it was the first quarter went to Indiana, 20 to 16. The second quarter went to New York, 29 for Indiana, 32 for New York. Then the third quarter went again to Indiana, 25 to 21. And at the fourth quarter, just a breakdown for Indiana. They scored only 10 points, and New York scored 23. Now this was Indiana Pacers had 1 day break before this game, and for New York Knicks they had 2 days break before this game. The best scorer for Indiana, Brogdon, 22, Sabonis 15 rebounds, and Brogdon 7 assists. And for New York Knicks, the leaders were Quickly with 16 points, Randle with 11 rebounds, and Rose with 7 assists. Now the Indiana Pacers are with a score of 6 wins and 9 losses in season, and on the road they are with 2 wins and 7 losses, and New York has now 8 wins and 6 losses, and at home they have a negative score of 3 wins and 4 losses. Now let's go to the next game, which was the highlight, one of the highlights of the day. Um, the other one was Chicago Bulls Lakers. So anyway, let's come back. So Denver Nuggets were played at Dallas Mavericks. Denver Nuggets, for them, this was third game in 4 days with back-to-back, so they played yesterday as well. And for Mavericks, they had 2 days rest before this game. They played in the American Airlines Center in front of the 19,797 spectators, which is 103% occupancy for the American Airlines Center. And Dallas won 111 to 101. And as we see, the game was decided in the last two quarters. And the Denver lost the first quarter 32 to 35. Um, that was also very special, as in the last moment the Denver made a mistake with the bench players, and the Dallas Mavericks managed to win that quarter with a three in last 2 seconds. They had 2 seconds for that possession, so they won that. And then the second quarter was won by Denver, 26 to 14, a huge quarter for Denver. But then again, Malone tried a little bit with the bench. The Denver didn't have um, three of their four best players, so the bench did not do that well in this game. They lost the third quarter 25 to 30, and then in the fourth quarter just didn't work out, and high risk shots didn't go in, and Denver lost that quarter 18 to 32. Um, we Let's take a look at the season score. So the Denver now has 9 wins and 5 losses, and on the road there are 2 wins and 4 losses, where the Dallas Mavericks has 9 wins and 4 losses in the score, and at the home they have a great score of 6 wins and 1 loss. The leader for Denver were Jokic 35 points, Jokic 16 rebounds, and Monte Morris 8 assists. For the Dallas, it was Porzingis with 29 points, Porzingis with 11 rebounds, and Doncic with 11 assists. Now let's go to the next game, which is Houston Rockets at Memphis Grizzlies. For Houston, this was third game in 4 days with the back-to-back, so they played yesterday as well. And for the Memphis Grizzlies, this was third game in 4 days. The Memphis Grizzlies won 136 to 102, and we can say that Memphis just won every quarter. So 33 to 20, 41 to 36, 31 to 15, and the tie in the last quarter 31 to 31. The Houston Rockets are now with a season score of 1 win and 13 losses. On the road, they're 0 wins and 8 losses. And for Memphis Grizzlies are now with a season score of 7 wins and 7 losses. At home, they are 5 wins and 3 losses. They played in FedEx Forum in front of the 62% attendance, 11,482 spectators. The game leader for Houston were Jalen Green with 15 points, Tate with 9 rebounds, Christopher with 5 assists, and for Memphis was Ja Morant with 22 points, Jackson Jr. with 7 rebounds, and Ja Morant with 6 assists. Now let's go to next game, which is Phoenix Suns at Minnesota against Timberwolves. For Phoenix, this was a third game in 4 days with back-to-back. They played yesterday as well. And for Minnesota, this was third game in 4 days. They played at Target Center in front of the 16,274 spectators, which is 84% occupancy. By quarters, it went like this. Phoenix lost the first quarter 18-21. Then they won the next two quarters 22, second quarter 22-18, third quarter 26-23, and the last quarter went to Timberwolves 33-34 for the final score 99 for Phoenix to 96 for Minnesota. A very, very tight game. A good win for Phoenix. Now the Phoenix are at a season score of 10 wins and 3 losses, and away on the road they are 5 wins and 1 loss, where the Minnesota Timberwolves have a season score of 4 wins and 9 losses, and at home they have a negative score of 2 wins and 6 losses. For Phoenix, Booker had 29 points, DeAndre Ayton had 12 rebounds, Chris Paul had 8 assists, and for Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns had 35 points, Towns had also 13 rebounds, and Edwards had 6 assists. Now let's go to Miami at Oklahoma against City Thunders. Miami won 103-90. Miami had 1 day break before this game, where for Oklahoma it was a third in 3 games in 4 days, and back-to-back, so they played yesterday as well. They played in Paycom Center in front of 12,330 spectators, 68% occupancy. The Miami started slow, lost the first quarter 23-24, and then they won all next 3 quarters. So the second quarter 20-19, the third quarter 31-24, and the last quarter 29-23. Miami have a season score of 9 wins and 5 losses. On the road, they are with 5 wins and 4 losses, and OKC has a season score of 5 wins and 8 losses, and at home they have 3 wins and 4 losses. For the Miami, the hero was Hero. So Hero scored 26 points. Hero had 7 rebounds, and Lowry had 11 assists. And for OKC, it was Dort had 20 points, Giddey had 9 rebounds, and Giddey had 9 assists. So let's move now to the next game, which is Toronto Raptors at Portland against Trailblazers, playing in front of 83% occupancy, 16,142 spectators in Moda Center. The Toronto Raptors had 1 day break before this game, where for the Portland Trailblazers this was third game in 4 days with back-to-back. So they played yesterday, and the final score was 113 for Toronto. They lost to 118 for Portland. By quarters, the Toronto won the first quarter 33-24. Then they lost the second one 27-37. Then they won the third one 25-24, and then they lost the last one 28-33. The Toronto is now at a season score of 7 wins and 8 losses, but on the road they are with 5 wins and 2 losses. Better score on the road than at home. And the Portland Trailblazers have a season score of 7 wins and 8 losses, but at home they have 6 wins and 1 loss. So great performance at home for Portland. The leaders for Toronto: Anunoby 29 points, Barnes 8 rebounds, VanVleet 7 assists, and for the Portland it was McCollum 29 points, Nurkic 14 rebounds, and Lillard 8 assists. Now let's move to the next game. Chicago Bulls at Los Angeles against Lakers in front of the full Staples Center with 18,993 spectators, and the Chicago won 121-103. Chicago won all first 3 quarters, and then relaxed in fourth quarter and lost the fourth quarter by 3 points. So anyway, let's take a look. First quarter 33-25 for Chicago. The second quarter 24-23 for Chicago. The third quarter 37-25 for Chicago, and the last quarter 27-30. The game leaders for Chicago were DeMar DeRozan, 38 points, Bradley, 9 rebounds, and Lonzo Ball, 8 assists. And for the Lakers, that was Horton Tucker with 28 points. Horton Tucker had also 6 rebounds, and Westbrook had 8 assists. We have to mention that for both teams, this was a third game in 4 days, and for both teams it was back-to-back. Maybe only the advantage for Chicago, they played last night against Clippers in the same arena, so maybe that's something. Anyway, let's quickly now look at the games that are going to be played in a few hours on Tuesday 18th. So we have Golden State Warriors at Brooklyn against Nets. Then we have Philadelphia, which is going to be a great game. Then we have Philadelphia 76ers playing at Utah against Jazz, another great game. And then we have San Antonio Spurs on the road at Los Angeles against Clippers. And we anticipate this also to be a nice game, a showcase of team basketball on both sides. We'll see if the Embiid is back for the 76ers and what he can do against Rudy Gobert, or what Rudy Gobert can do defensively against Embiid. And the Golden State Warriors lost, as we know, a day ago on the road, so they have now to showcase that they're ready to show the excellence on the road as well, where the Brooklyn is just constant in their play, and we expect them to get better and better as well. So we'll see. It's going to be fantastic. So we hope you liked the new way of presenting the game day with game day stat leaders and the game day game report in short. We find that after in a season, we will follow the statistic of how the teams perform in first quarter, second, third, and fourth quarters. We'll try to see if there are any patterns there. That's why we are looking at that. That's why that's interesting for us. And we wish you a great day. Let's play the game. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for daily updates and reports.